Praise be Jesus and Mary. Today's first reading, we heard the downfall of Solomon from 1 Kings chapter 11, narrating how King Solomon, who was once, you could say, on the top of the world, as the wisest man in the world, through a special gift of God, ultimately, fell and reached a very low point and disgraced himself by breaking the covenant with God, falling away from the true faith. And the cause of this was, in general, lust, and in particular, marrying foreign pagan women. Pagan women who would influence Solomon because of their idol worship, their false religion, and influencing Solomon to build temples, for their false gods and idols. And before you know it, had him participating in that false worship as well. So he broke the covenant with the one true God, unlike his father David before him, who was faithful, to the one true God, despite his various falls. The importance of marrying into good marriages, fitting, spouses is so important. The Lord forbade his people to marry foreign pagan women precisely because of these dangers, so as to keep the faith of Israel pure and intact. For us as Catholics, the Church cautions us, to always strive to build good marriages. The Church safeguards the sacrament of matrimony very jealously, you could say, and cautions potential spouses about the difficulties with not choosing an appropriate or fit spouse. At least the Church encourages the ideal, with both spouses being Catholic, both practicing, both devout, on board, with the Church's teachings about how to raise a family, the values to instill in their children, centering their lives on the one true God. It takes three to get married, as Fulton Sheen said. The two spouses and God to keep them together and to make a really strong marriage and family life. And marriages that are entered into that are not the ideal can be permitted by the Church, with the dispensation of the bishop. Mixed marriages and marriages with disparity of cult. Mixed marriages where one Catholic marries a non-Catholic Christian. And it is a sacramental marriage if the non-Catholic Christian is validly baptized. It's a true sacramental marriage, but without all the benefits, you could say, should that other spouse be also Catholic. The extra helps that our Lord would have spouses receive through the Eucharist and all the other sacraments, and no doubts about the faith, this or that interpretation, but both guided by Holy Mother Church and her teachings. So this mixed marriages, and then disparity of cult, when a Catholic marries a non-Christian, someone who's of an altogether different religion. Could be Hindu, Buddhist, Jew, or even no religion at all. This is not a sacramental marriage, but it can be valid. It can be a valid marriage. And there's further difficulties with this, further from the ideal. greater difficulties involved. And it's true that the Catholic spouse can bring the non-Catholic Christian spouse or non-Christian spouse to the fullness of faith, build up that marriage even more in family life. But this is very difficult to do. It's not always the case. And it's wonderful when it happens, of course. But so the church just warns, cautions young people who are pursuing marriage, to start with the ideal. So this was a major downfall of Solomon, and the other one was, in general, lust. Kind of led him to this pursuit of so many marriages with foreign women, many of them, too many to count, as it were. The driving force, besides any political or diplomatic benefits from these marriages, was, of course, lust. And lust, of course, continues to be a great challenge for marriages today and for individuals, and destroys countless individuals' marriages and families today, especially through pornography and all the impurities that are blasted, you could say, by the internet, and which bombard us, in which we have to be very careful to avoid. So spiritual combat is definitely needed in this area today. It's a real duel to the death. And we cannot play with this fire, or we'll definitely get burned. Just as Our Lady said of Fatima, more souls go to hell because of sins against purity than any other sin. This is so true today. And we need special attention to be careful to avoid these particular sins. So for our part, not to fall like Solomon from being wise to becoming a fool. We want to be truly wise and stay pure. So lust leads to foolishness and imbecility, idiocy, whereas a pure life, which can enable us to tap into the grace of God, leads to true wisdom and happiness and joy. So let us ask Our Lady for this grace, and not to fall like Solomon, but to stand fast as her saints do, in purity of heart. Praise be Jesus and Mary.